So I'll begin with something that my mother used to sing. So imagine I am raised in Bombay. I speak more Marathi and I'm more familiar with Jnaneshwar and Tukaram than with Odia culture. What is Odia culture for me in Bombay, when you're growing up in Bombay, is in summer my mother will make pokhada. So even now when my whole family gets together, every summer we'll have one pokhada. That's very important. In my house, Jagannath is very important. Everything revolves around Jagannath. There is Kartik Masa, there is Panchuka. So there are these festivals which my neighbors would not understand. But it was very particular to us. But my mother would sing a lullaby. Because you see, all my grandfathers had Krishna names, Hare Krishna, Das. The names were Kodakara, Prafulla. So names are always Vaishnav names. And my mother would sing this lullaby on Kodakara. And I would like to begin, so I don't know, you say it. So the lullaby that I grew up with, it's a lullaby and it is bhakti. And this is how culture enters our lives in India. कि बॉम्बे रे गोटे टोका बढ़ुची चेंबूर रे ता माँ जे कटक रे बढ़ीची, she is singing this lullaby related to Krishna, and this is how Odia culture and bhakti enters my life.
Should I go? Okay, one second. This was written by Bhakta Charan Das. This is the Kala Kalebaro Chautisha, when Krishna is leaving Mathura and the gopis are crying behind him. Kala Kalebaro Konhai Sange Rohini Suta Karanti Mathura Vijaye Dande Dekha Sangata खसी पड़ुछि कि आकाशु किए गंगा जमुना क्षीर संगे प्राण शोषिले नाश गला पूतना.
So this is how I was introduced to Krishna. And I'm sure even those who don't understand Odia got the words, right? Ganga, Jamuna, Putana. Yeah, we've got it. This is how India is connected. Everybody from Kashmir to Kerala, if you just say Ganga, Jamuna is the dark river and the light river. The dark river obviously embodying Krishna and the light river embodying Balaram. And that sight of the children going away and the mother and the gopikas realizing that Krishna, this beautiful boy who danced with them and sang with them and played mischief with them, is not going to be there anymore. He's going away and he will never come back. This is Viraha Bhakti. Vatsalya Bhakti transforms into Viraha Bhakti. A highway has been created, a highway based on emotions, and an emotional highway that talks about love, where God is a child, God is a lover, and then God is the departed lover who goes away and never turns around to look at you. So all our emotions, both positive and negative, are transformed into bhakti. That is how the divine enters us. The chitta goes through its tremors, joyful tremors and unhappy tremors, and it transforms into poetry. And it verbalizes itself through lyrics and music. And it is brought back to us. And that is what bhakti does. it straight reaches for your soul through emotions. It's the highway of emotions. We realize that it is the highway that brings us closest to God. When you speak of Krishna, and you speak of Odisha, and you speak of Jagannath, you think of the Puri temple. And we don't realize this is where Radha was born. Because it is here that Gita Govinda was composed. Before this, the Bhagavata spoke only of Gopikas. It only spoke of women who adored Krishna, missed him, fought over him, gave up everything for him. But with Radha, a new character emerges, a very different character. The earliest representation of this character comes from Tamil Sangam poetry, Na Pinnai. But in Radha, a new character appears because she is not subservient. She doesn't bow. She gets Krishna to bow to him, to her. The relationship of Radha and Krishna is very, very different. Normally, when people speak of bhakti, and especially in modern times, it is very feudal. God is on a high pedestal and the bhakta is below. Bhagwan upar hai, bhakt niche hai. Radha ke saath, the world transforms. She doesn't believe in inequality. It's equal. लेने वाले का सुख और देने वाले का सुख. There is joy in receiving, there is joy in giving. You must want me as much as I want you. This is equality. She screams at him, fights with him, demands. It is not Mirabai's yearning, which comes much later. This is different. And therefore, when you go to Vrindavan and you go to Banke Bihari Ji, you don't say Krishna, Krishna. You say Radhe, Radhe. She is the Shakti. She demands his divinity to show longing. You may be Purna Purusha, but with me, you have to experience Apurnata. Otherwise, what kind of divine are you? In your completeness, you must have incompleteness. And so, let's hear something from the Odia poets on how Radha was talked about. Because after Jayadev, and between Jayadev and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a whole bunch of Odia poets wrote on Radha. And there are two types of poetry. So, I'll
take a song, Radha is scolding Krishna.
Okay. So, you explain the song which you're going to.
So this was written by Kavi Gopal Krishna Patnaik of Parla Khemudi. Very iconic song of Odisha. Syamo ko juharo, tara premo ko juharo. Now this juharo is like I am done with him. So she says she has just learned after the night, Krishna has promised her that he'll come tonight, but he went to Chandrabali's Kunja. He is with another lady. So she is very annoyed and she is now done with it. She says, I am done with Krishna. I am not going to talk about him anymore. So, Syamo ku juharo, taro premo ku juharo ma. Syamo ku juharo, taro premo ku juharo ma. Syamo ku juharo. What love will he do? His heart is made of iron. Se korugo se piroti, se korugo se piroti, jade holuharo ma. Syamo ku juharo, taro premo ku juharo ma. Now she has overheard the town talking about Chandrabali's affair with Krishna. So she is talking, mu sunichi. से आसुला तार बाजा बाजुची चंद्रावली सहित रमी थिला बोली शुणिछि प्रसंगरे चंद्रावलीर संगरे शुणिछि ପ୍ରସଙ୍ଗରେ ଚନ୍ଦ୍ରାବଳୀର ସଙ୍ଗରେ ଶୁଣିଛି ପ୍ରସଙ୍ଗରେ ଚନ୍ଦ୍ରାବଳୀର ସଙ୍ଗରେ ନାଗରା ବାଜୁଛି ବ୍ରଜ ଯାକରେ ଯାହାର ମା ଶ୍ୟାମକୁ ଜୁହାର ତାର ପ୍ରେମକୁ ଜୁହାର ମା ଶ୍ୟାମକୁ ଜୁହାର.
You know, the casualness with which you are talking, about Radha, Chandravali, Krishna, you come to my house at night and then you go to someone else's house. Today you can't talk like this. Today's Hinduism is controlled by celibate or allegedly celibate holy men. And this is what happens when a society becomes toxically masculine. Bhakti literature is feminine. And it is flows with feminine energy. And I can look on Krishna, and that's the thing about Jagannath, right? There's a very famous poetry which talks about Jagannath having no gender. He is male and female. He's Bhairav and Bhairavi. He's Shiva and Shakti. He's both. So you see, some of the rituals that are followed in the temple is something that people don't realize. On Krishna Janma, Jagannath statue is seen as Devaki giving birth, and she's given the medicines which are given to pregnant women at the time of delivery. So Jagannath at that night is Yashoda and is also Krishna. He is avatar and avatari. These are complex ideas being presented to common people through ritual, but also ideas of gender. Krishna is masculine, Krishna is feminine. He is Jagannath. He has a linga, he is beyond linga. He has attributes, he doesn't have attributes. You're talking about Saguna, Nirguna, you're talking about Advaita, you're talking about Linga, Dvaita, Advaita, complex ideas being presented in these imagery. So at one level, Bhakti, I feel, also came from the Tantric traditions. The strong tantric traditions of Odisha, because in Bhubaneswar, just outside in Hirapur, you have Chausashta Yogini temple. And when you read about the Panchasakha poets wrote in the 15th century. And they were Jagannath Das, Balram Das, they wrote the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and whenever they started writing in the local language, they wrote in Odia. They didn't write, and it's very funny, when Jnaneshwar wrote in Marathi, he was boycotted by the local Brahmin community. Same thing happened here. When Balram Das, Jagannath Das started writing in Odia, they were made fun of. People abused them. Whenever change happens, there is always someone who's going to resist, as we know from newspapers today. We don't like to change, but eventually everything changes. And the Panchasakha poets called themselves Shudra Muni. They used these words. Were they revolutionaries? They are challenging gender stereotype. You have Lakshmi Purana being written, which is more feminist than anything else, where Balram gets angry because Krishna has gone to a Chandaluni's house. Because Lakshmi has gone into a Chandaluni's house and says, how can you go to that house? And you cannot come into this temple. Lakshmi should not enter because she's gone to this person's house. And then the story becomes so interesting because Lakshmi says, okay, fine, I will not come. If you don't want me, I won't come. And what is the result? No food. There's no food in the temple. The great Jagannath temple has no food. This is feminism in the 15th century, written by a poet from the temple through bhakti literature, through the path of emotions, through anna, food. That is love. When I give you anna, when I give you the dal, when I give you the vegetables, when I give you Odisha's Rasgulla, I always tell people, Bengal's Rasgulla is for human beings, Odisha's Rasgulla is for Jagannath. So I'd request something on the. So now we will hear a song where Lakshmi, the goddess Lakshmi, is going to shout at her brother's, her husband's elder brother. Unheard of. The Balaram is going to be shouted at by the goddess Lakshmi, again with but the tone is affectionate. Do hear.
This is by one of the Panchasakha poets, Atibadi Jagannatha Das, Lakshmi Narayana Bachanika. One stanza where, as he explained, Lakshmi scolds Balabhadra. Dedha sura mora mauna konthia miche tuni hoi thanti भयणी नारी की संगतरे घेनी आगे रथ बाही जानती गो शुण मोते बाछु थाओ तांको गुण गो शुण अबे भार कले नारायण गो शुण भाई भौणींकर ए गुण गो शुण.
One more stanza.
Lakshmi is telling, break his chariot, may he not be able to return back. निज सेव कंतराई कमलणी हांदोळारे विजे कले केते दूर जाई लोकंकु पचारी बळगंडी भेट हेले से जाओ मारी सेवक लोक लोटाओ से रथ भांग तुरीते पकाओ से तुम जगन्नाथंकु से कहजे.
You know what is powerful for those who don't get it is the localness of it. It is so ordinary. Ladai ho rahi hai, she's shouting, screaming. There is nothing refined about it. This is the goddess. And whenever we think of goddesses and gods, we always think of these very refined people. But gods are everything. They get angry, they get upset, they're jealous, they're petty. That is what bhakti literature is about. Bhakti literature is about getting the transcendental gods to the normal plane, where they'll fight and scream and shout. And you connect with them. They are yours. They talk like you. They talk like your mother, your father. That wicked uncle of yours is perhaps a god. That horrible aunt is a goddess. It is this literature. I remember when I keep telling people, how Krishna is addressed, the Sakha Bhav. When Jagannath is referred to, my mother would talk to Krishna, say to Kaliya, Kaliya, she would say. And in Bombay, we would get very offended, Kaliya? And we would be like, Mom, what are you saying? And she'll say, you won't understand. You won't understand this relationship. Say, Jaga Kaliya. Say, he's my blackie. He's my friend. I hate him. She got angry with me once upon a time and she threw stuff in the temple. And she said, Jaga, tomorrow ye kallu, se kallu. Doctor padi ki Ramayana Mahabharata padichi. So basically, I studied medicine, but I was more interested in Ramayana Mahabharata and I published books like this. So she thought like I'm such a waste. So she said, she stopped eating Nirmalya on that day. She would take the Nirmalya and she said, I will not take it. So I saw my mother's relationship with Jagannath to be a very personal one. You could shout at him, scream at him, Ninda Stuti, which is called. Ninda Stuti. And there are a lot of champus written in Odisha where God is addressed in shocking terms. Today you can't put this on Twitter because apparently our gods are very oversensitive. Some strange new Hinduism that some people from the North India are promoting. And he's going to take a female poet. Since we are referring to we always talk about the male poets, but let's take a female poet from Odisha, and she is going to be abusive to the Lord and bhakti in the abuse.
This is one of the trademark gramophone songs of Banikantha Nimai Charan Harichandana. This was written by Surjamani Jamadei, a princess. She refers to him as Kala, Bijulia, Kaicho Malia, Kalia, and all kinds of terms which are very colloquial and local. So, କଳା କାହ୍ନୁ କୁହୁକ ଜାଣେ ଯେଣିକି ଚାହିଁଲେ ଦିଶୋଇ ଆଗୋ ଯେଣିକି ଚାହିଁଲେ ଦିଶୋଇ ତେଣେ କଳା କାହ୍ନୁ କୁହୁକ ଜାଣେ ବେଣୁ ଗୀତ ଗାଇ ମୋହିନୀ ଲଗାଇ କାନ୍ତ କୋଳୁ କାନ୍ତା ଉଠାଇ ଆଣେ बोले सूर्य जे माँ देखी ता भंगिमा बोले सूर्य जे माँ देखी ता भंगिमा कालो जाको थिबी सेवकी मुगो कालो जाको थिबी सेवकी पणे कला कान्हू कुहुक जाने जेणिकी चाहिले दिशोई तेणे कला कान्हू कुहुक जाने. So this is one of the songs you won't hear very commonly because Suryamani Jemadei almost nobody knows her. But there are a number of female poets in Odisha. They talk about many things. They talk about they abuse Jagannatha. All of this is very common. They talk about how they are trapped in a household, but they are there. It's not as if they are not, they are.
So, I mean, I can go on talking about this, but I'd like to conclude now with... then we'll do, sorry, there was something which I wanted to do which I can't do right now, but we'll do the Champu songs. Again, very folksy.
No, very classical.
This is the classical one. Okay. So we'll do the classical ones. So we've done the folk style. Now let's go to the more refined classical ones to show the entire range of bhakti. Because you see, when you're talking at a bhakti level, it is, you know, one of the things that I keep telling people is most people in the world don't understand diversity. Equality and diversity are at the opposite poles of each other. In the West, when they talk of equality, they end up talking about homogeneity. So everything becomes homogeneous. Whether it's Christianity or Islam, there is a set of rules that everybody has to follow. And God is a judge. And He judges you. But in the Indian tradition, the Hindu tradition, God is not a judge. God is a lover, God is a dancer, God is an accountant, God is many, many things, but He's not a judge. There is no judgment. And most importantly, therefore, there is no homogeneity. Everybody has to be different. You can make God whatever you want. He can be Krishna, He can be Ram, He can be Shiva, He can be Goddess, He can be a tree, He can be a plant, He can be a water body, He can be a buffalo. It can be crude poetry. It can be refined poetry. It can be Sanskrit, it can be Odia, it can be Tamil, it can be Gujarati. There is no homogeneity. The only thing which is common in everything is the bhav. Bhav is important. Vatsalya bhav, Shringara bhav, Madhurya bhav, Adbhuta bhav. Any bhav, even Viparita bhakti is allowed, where you abuse the gods. Even insult is allowed. That is love. That is bhakti. And so, let's hear a classical rendition of the bhakti songs.
Okay. Kavi Surya Baladev Ratha of Odisha. He was given the epithet Kavi Surya, son among poets. He wrote a work called the Kishora Chandrananda Champu. Champu literature is a very distinct and unique genre of Odia literature in which there are 34 songs after the 34 consonants of the Odia alphabet. Each letter has got its own song, and that particular song, all of its lines start with that particular letter. So if you have a song for Ka, all of the lines will start from Ka, and these are very classical. These are traditional classical songs of the Odissi school of classical music.
So it's like in English we learn A for apple, B for ball. However, traditionally people were taught the alphabets, they would learn these songs. So you learn the alphabet, you learn the song, you learn about your culture, and you learn bhakti all simultaneously. So Ka songs, Kha songs, Ga songs, this will be which song? Yeah. So the first song which I heard was Kala Kare Barang is Ka. So from the Ka. So now which alphabet are you taking?
I'm taking Ksha. Ksha is traditionally considered in the repertoire. In Odia we call it Kya, like a Kha with a Ya sound. That is the old pronunciation. I'll proceed with that. This is in the Raga Kedara Kamodi, which does not exist in the other schools of classical music. Odisha's classical music tradition is called Odissi classical music. It has a history of over 1000 years. So this you'll hear very Sanskritic patterns occurring throughout, and you will hear how there are number of phrases repeating about the same rhyme scheme. I'll just take a minute to calibrate my voice for this. Okay. Kyomano. I'll change this. It's too low. That's fine. Okay. This is a very grandiose song, as you'll see. Kyomano kompa dhara he Kyomano kompa Khira sagara sambhava kucha kumbha jugala pari rambha chatura he. So Kavi Surya is imagining Vishnu in whose hands the breasts of Lakshmi are cupped. So this is a very scandalous thing to say in these times. We'll proceed with the Antara. Khiti chakra bala moha भीति निवारण हे श्रुति शिरव तंसाकृति श्रीचरण हे मराल विहरण करार्चित चरण मराल विहरण करार्चित चरण धराभार हरण चराचर शरण तरावर किरण बराबर चरण तरावर किरण बराबर चरण नखांसु सुरगण शिखा भरण हे क्षमानो kompadhar khiti chak. I'll go with the last stanza, which has the bhanita. Khyamaadhipa jagadeva samapana kare sramartha he varu bhava bhramati সয়রে ব্যথানি বহর প্রথা চলু মিহির পথান্তর কুহর রথাদিরু অমর মথামণি নিকর রথাঙ্গ জুত কর কথা বিনয় মোর বৃথা নকর হে ক্ষমানো kompadhar he.
So I tried to give a little flavor of bhakti and Odia bhakti, but I'd like to end now with some humor. No song, but personal incidents. Humor which brings out bhakti, but it also shows a side of Odisha which is very interesting. So long ago, I went to the Jagannath temple. As usual, you come to Bhubaneswar, you meet your aunts, you want to run away from them. Then you want to go to meet your uncles and you want to run away from them. Then you want some escape, and you say Jagannath Puri has to be gone. It is the only temple which is open till 11 o'clock at night. And normally even in South India and Bombay and all where you go, temples wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. People are there in the temple and all that. Here the temple opens at 7:30. And you go and stand in the queue, and you have got a lot of non-Odia people over there, and you're standing there with the ticket to do the Mangal Aarti Darshan. And it's 7:30 and the door has not opened, and one nonna is going this way, and he's looking at you, and then one of the ladies who is very sharp on time looks at the watch, it's 7:30, darwaza khula kyun nahi hai? So the Brahman nonna looks at him in a typical Odia Hindi accent, says, Bhagwan ka ichha hoega to khulega, nahi ichha hoega to nahi khulega. वो जब मन करेगा वो खोलेगा. I mean, this very funny accent. The lady is horrified because Muhurat is passing by, this is passing by. That fellow is not concerned. Finally, you enter the temple shrine, and then one of my best experiences when everybody wants to see Krishna as blue, 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 but in Odisha it's very kola, very clear. It's soot, and they take the soot of the Krishna statue, and sometimes if you're lucky, the priest will put it on your face. So you have the camphor and the black marks on your face, and I'm smelling this wonderful thing, and of course the place is filthy, but it's bhakti, right? So in bhakti, filth also becomes like flowers. And your medical hygiene, everything you're saying, I'm going home and taking a Dettol bath, but doesn't matter. Now it's bhakti. And then suddenly I see a cockroach going up. And there's lights, camphor, the room is crowded, everybody's saying Jai Jagannath, but I can see the cockroach. And another woman can see the cockroach, and then all of us can see the cockroach. And then this is where the genius of the Odia man comes. So he said, cockroach, mandir ke andar. So then Pandit just turns around and says, Bhagwan sirf tumhara hai kya? So much for Swachh Bharat. But that is bhakti for you, where there is a room for a cockroach and filth, and the gods will wake up whenever they want to wake up, and they'll sleep at 11 o'clock at night. And I think that's what Odia Bhakti is all about, and I've tried to bring a little bit of it, thanks to the help of my young friend Pratik Patnaik over here. Thank you, Arundhati, for giving me the opportunity. Namaskar again. And if you feel you are in debt of me, please buy my book and be Renamukt. Chalo, bye-bye. Do we have question answers? Yeah, sure. We can do some questions. If you have time, just look at the time.
The floor is now open for Q&A. I'm sure there are many questions. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I am Pavitra Mohankar. I must thank you for two reasons. Being an Odia and being the pioneer of this session, over the last 2 days, how much talk were there on Bhakti, you have surpassed. My big hands, I request this house to give a big round of applause to Devdutt Patnaik. Number two, I must be grateful to you for introducing this young prodigy.
Yes.
The talent, Pradeep Patnaik, the way he was singing.
And it's all extempore, huh? We didn't plan it until 2 minutes ago. I just said
thanks to Twitter and thanks to you too, having account and following each other, for which the house has been
Thank you,
elevated.
sir. Thank you.
Number two, my question is, whether mythology is chosen you or you choose mythology. You are a vocal, you are a voracious writer, you are famous all over the world because you write mythology. Why did you choose mythology? Or mythology selected you to be the elaborator?
I think mythology chose me because I would have otherwise been a doctor. I did my MBBS. I really got a good rank. I got a seat in surgery. I said, no, I don't want to do it. I gave the UPSC exams. I went through in the first attempt. Like good Odia boys, I would have been an IAS officer. But something told me during the interview process that is not for me. And I struggled a lot for many, many years wondering what to do with my life. And then suddenly mythology has just happened very organically. And I can't live without mythology. It's like I breathe it. I breathe everything about it. And it's...
Hello, sir.
So that's the answer, I guess, the simple answer.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I'm Shubhashmita Mishra. मेरा आपसे एक क्वेश्चन है. मैं आपको देखती रहती हूँ टीवी पर. आपने एक बार सूर्यवंश और चंद्रवंश के बारे में अच्छी तरह समझाया था, लेकिन आई मिस दैट एपिसोड, तो मैं उसे देख नहीं पाया. उसे देखने की कोशिश की और वो मिला भी नहीं. तो मुझे आप फिर से वो थोड़ा सूर्यवंश और चंद्रवंश के बारे में समझा दीजिए.
तो आज मैं सिर्फ ओडिया भक्ति के बारे में बात करूंगा. इसको अगर देखना है तो नो प्रॉब्लम, आप नेटफ्लिक्स का सब्सक्रिप्शन ले लीजिए और वहां पे देवलोक शो. आज हम क्षमा करें, मैं थोड़ा कोरोना जाती ना तो so I know I can talk on 33 Koti Devta, but let's focus on the topic today because that will be more fun. Yeah? Yes. Can the mic be brought here, please?
Okay. Hello, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Achha, let him ask the question. The next question will be yours. Yeah.
Jai
Okay,
Jagannath, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is regarding one of the famous concepts, which is about the Kalpa Vriksha. the wish tree. Sir, can a human being really manifest the reality which he desires?
Yes, but maybe in a future life. See, we have infinite rebirths, right? So in infinite rebirths, you can take infinite forms satisfying infinite desires. So be patient. Next life you'll be taller, smarter, healthier, richer. कोई टेंशन नहीं हमारे यहाँ. There is no one life where you have to achieve everything in one life. So टेंशन क्या है? So that is the whole thing, chill. सब कुछ नहीं होगा इस जिंदगी में. इस जीवन में, we want everything to be satisfied in this life, but I have met some of the richest, most powerful people in the world, and I know that they are not happy. So, Kalpa Vriksha represents that. वो इंद्र के पास है, और इंद्र भी सुखी नहीं है. इंद्र भी सुखी नहीं है. तो और that is why the stories are told. These are nice ideas that we can manifest whatever we want, but in which life? So when you read books like The Secret, the one secret they don't tell you is that you live infinite lives. So jaldi nahi hai. Chaliye. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Myself, Prashant Kumar Panda. My question to you, that this, you talked about Panchasakha literature. Panchasakha literature. Panchasakha. Yes, that is Jagannath Das, Balaram Das, everybody knows. But Jagannath Das, Jagannath, Balaram, Jaswant, Sishuanant, Panchasakhankar jo sahitya kruti achi. ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ବିଶେଷ ଅନୁରୋଧ, ଯେହେତୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଆପଣ ଖାଲି ଜଗଲର ଅଫ୍ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ୍ ନୁହନ୍ତି, you are a sensitive soul, ଏବଂ God has given you some qualities so that you can translate the concept of the very intrinsingness of Indian culture, of Odia culture to English. ତେଣୁ ମୋର ଓଡ଼ିଶାବାସୀଙ୍କ ତରଫରୁ এই আগামী এই পিঢ়ির প্রিপেন্টেশন হিসাবে আপনার অনুরোধ যে পঞ্চসখা সাহিত্যকে ইংরাজীরে ট্রান্সলেশন করবে কি?
নিশ্চয়. If you find a sponsor for me, I will immediately do it. Partnership, sir.
That you take
ଆପଣ
care.
ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ମୁଁ ସରସ୍ୱତୀ ଦଉଛି.
No, that you take care. God has given you,
Yeah.
God has given you that power, that you are in financial capital of India.
Yes, that is
So,
what I'm asking you, sir.
financial-
ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ସରସ୍ୱତୀ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ପାଇବେ.
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି. That I will take care. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ
ନିଶ୍ଚୟ,
କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍.
sir.
ସେକେଣ୍ଡ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ଆପଣ ଯେଉଁ କହିଲେ ରସଗୋଲା, ରସଗୋଲା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ସମସ୍ତେ ଜାଣନ୍ତୁ, ସମସ୍ତେ ଜାଣିଥିବେ ଗୋଟେ କନସେପ୍ଚୁଆଲ କ୍ଲାରିଟି, ଜଗନ୍ନାଥଙ୍କୁ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ ମାନେ 64 ମାନେ ପୌଟିର ଭୋଗ ଦିଅନ୍ତି, 36 ପୌଟି ଭୋଗ ଦିଅନ୍ତି.
Is there a question or
ହଁ,
a statement?
କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍. କିନ୍ତୁ ରସଗୋଲା ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀକି ଦିଅନ୍ତି. ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥଙ୍କୁ ରସଗୋଲା ଦିଅନ୍ତି ନାହିଁ.
ଆଚ୍ଛା.
ତେଣୁ ଆଉ ରସଗୋଲା ଉପରେ ଯେଉଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ସେ GI ଟ୍ୟାଗ ଏଇସବୁ କଥା ଚାଲିଛି, ତାକୁ ଛାଡ଼ିକି
ଭକ୍ତି
ଆପଣଙ୍କ
କଥା କହନ୍ତୁ ନା, ଭକ୍ତି କଥା କହନ୍ତୁ.
ହଁ ସେ ଭକ୍ତି କଥା କହୁଛି. ସେ
Focus on the mithas of the rasgulla,
Yes,
not the
right.
bitterness.
I am talking of that. ତେଣୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମିଠା ସବ ରସଗୋଲାର କଥା ଆସୁଛି, ସେଠି GI ଟ୍ୟାଗର କଥା ନ ଆସୁ.
ଆଚ୍ଛା.
ଆଉ ଆପଣ ସେଇ ମିଠାସକୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାହିତ୍ୟରେ ଉତାରନ୍ତୁ.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we had one more
Yeah.
question.
Devashish. So these are Twitter friends who I don't meet the first time I meet.
This is Devashish Sarangi, and we are Twitter friends. And I also remember having reviewed your book, Shikandi. My question is on Jagannath.
Louder,
Most
louder.
of the most of it we have always seen the eyes of God, the normal eyes of beautiful eyes and all. Jagannath's eyes are completely different. They're round. Okay, so does the concept of zero from a mathematician's point of view come from there? And is mythology or our devotion, is it surrounded to Shunya, which is what is the origination of our and end of everything? So how do you relate that concept?
See, it's while in Odisha, of course, we are focused on Jagannath, but across India, when you look at Krishna's imagery, the eyes are given a lot of importance because darshan is an important concept. In a Shiva temple, there is no eyes to see because it's a Shivling, so it has no eyes. So eyes with a goddess, it's scary because she is always bloodshot eyes, ready to, and at least the traditional images of the goddesses were violent imagery. With Krishna temples, the images of eyes become important. So the shape of the eyes varies in different parts. For example, in Tirupati Balaji temple, the eyes are covered completely. So eyes are not seen. Go to Nathdwara, it is boat shaped. It is in the form of a boat. If you go towards North India and you go to the Gangetic plains, they are lotus shaped. When you come to Odisha, they are round. So shapes of the eyes keeps changing in different parts of India. To draw attention to the eyes. Of course, you know what happens is whenever Freud made a very famous sentence, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. We must not force fit explanations onto it. The concept of Shunya, although it's very powerful in Odisha and the Buddhist traditions of Odisha, and it is also part of Jagannath culture in many parts, Shunya as an idea is a very Buddhist idea. And Ananta as an idea is a very Hindu idea. So the Buddhist was about everything is impermanent, and they move towards Shunya. That is Anatta, no Atma. While Hinduism moved towards Ananta, which is everything, iti, everything is divine. That's the big journey that you have. That is why when people say is Krishna, Jagannath Krishna, people will say, not quite. Because he's everything. He's also Shiva, he's also Vishnu, he's also Devi, he's also Narasimha, he's everything. So it's Ananta Vasudeva. That is why Ananta Vasudeva is given and Shunya is not given that much of importance. And that is why it is a highly bhogi temple. You have the kitchen and the food and the lifestyle and the dancing and the singing, which is not there in a Buddhist monastery. There is no, food is not important, dancing is not important, singing is not important. One of the reasons why Buddhism died out in India is because it didn't patronize the arts. The singing, the dancing, the abuse of God, the fun and frolic, utsava. So Rangabhumi, utsava, these are the concepts that enabled Hinduism to rise and become very popular. Yeah? So
Sir, excuse me, sir.
you have to decide for the time. The moderator has to decide the time. So
We'll take two more.
okay.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. Sir, myself Agnivesh, and I am a fan of you since you have written the book Sita. And there is a question popping out since I read that book. Just to break the poignant and the bhakti tone, sir, the Hindu beliefs and the ideologies of staunch followers of Hinduism are a contentious topic today. You have successfully maneuvered your way through the sensitive minefield, while most of the writers in this room have had their tussles with the liberals or the hot-headed right-wingers. So, can you just clarify me that how are you still clear of any conjecture by both of these wings?
So when I was a child in Bombay, when we used to cross the road, my mother would say, look left, look right, and then walk straight. So when I look at the left wing, then I look at the right wing, and I realize both are idiots, and I go in front.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I think we have one last question left. Please.
We are friends in Facebook. I am Professor Adhakant Barik, and I read your pieces. One thing I want to say, just today's talk, now we are celebrating Guruvara, Manabosa, Lakshmi Puja, and yesterday was also there. I came from my village today, just now, to listen to you. Every house, I went to all houses belonging to Dalits, belonging to Brahmins, belonging to cultivating castes, milkmen caste. There are many castes in the village. Every family celebrates the festival of Lakshmi. Then I just raised this question to the village people. Why? They related that story, how Lakshmi left Jagannath and went to a poor Dalit house. That's the I wanted to add to your discussion. Thank you.
You see, one thing we do, the reason I always say bhakti is feminine is because the goddess is food. And food does not differentiate. The taste of food will be the same whether you're a saint or a sinner. Whether you're rich or poor, rice will taste the same. Dal will taste the same. Food doesn't differentiate. ऊंच नीच की फर्क नहीं पता चलता है. For food, that is Lakshmi. A sword in the hand of the rich and the sword in the hand of the poor does not become sharper or blunter. So Durga doesn't differentiate between the rich and the poor. The sharpness of the sword will be the same. And the sound of music, which is Saraswati, will be the same whether you're rich or poor. So the goddess doesn't differentiate. All differentiation comes from certain men. And that is why when you talk of equality, when we talk of Atmagyan, in Atmagyan, Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga come into our lives. And as long as we don't have Atmagyan, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga will not give us the full pleasure. And I think that is the whole, perhaps Chokadola means that. To see the world as a wheel, that he who is down will one day go up and the one who is up will go down. And we are all equidistant from the iris of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I request Prachi to please join us on stage and present a small token of gratitude, and Uttarya to Shri Devadatta Patnaik for being here and adding so much of soulfulness and nostalgia to the environment. All those small stories, prayers that the grannies taught us, those memories came flooding back, reminding us what a rich bhakti tradition we have here in Odisha that we have kind of forgotten and should be very, very proud of. Thank you so much, sir. It was truly enlightening. And thank you very much and congratulations, Pratik, for the kind of knowledge you have at this age. We definitely see a younger version of Devadatta Patnaik in you. Go much ahead in life and make us prouder.